Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
It's a weird side face.
It's profile. Actually, probably my other side.
How is its profile?
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to OK
Profile
Aussie.
picture.
Snap, snaps.
That'd be a weird one.
How are we? How are you? Hope you're going really well. I'm having my morning hot chocolate.
He
Not
decided
coffee.
he doesn't want to participate. He's facing that way. Rude. Here's my co-host. Now do I have one?
I've got to go have a shower. I've got
He's
things
gonna
to
have a
do.
shower.
I'm busy. I've got a very busy day.
Yeah, we've got a busy day.
Very busy day.
Busy day.
Hmm.
Busy day.
What are you talking about today?
Like bad day. This
No,
one's
it's
a
a-
busy day.
It's a busy day. It's going to be a good day.
No, I'm not saying it's bad day. I'm saying it's like my bad day
I
situation
get it.
where busy day is what goes through my head
A
all
lot
day
of
on
new
busy
things.
day. Don't even talk about it.
We did do
It's-
some social stories
Okay,
last night to prepare for it
transitioning.
all.
Let's not talk too
Yeah,
much about it
transitioning.
because it's just.
Anyway,
I've got to
I'll
get
leave you with
through
her.
a
Just
shower
on her.
and all of that before I talk about anything new. But anyway, new things are good, right? Yes, they are. As you know, I've moved locations, so I'm slowly immersing into new things because I'm in a new location. I'm half an hour, well, just under half an hour from where I lived. So I had to start again. But anyway, it's all right. My disability lawyer is actually coming to the AAT meeting next one. Because she's awesome. I just want to say that. I am very lucky. Because, yeah, she's disabled herself and, yeah, she gets it. Okay? You need to be around your people, guys, and that includes, it's all right, Bubba, professionals if you have to engage. You don't always get the chance to, I get it, but if you can get yourself a disability advocate, and if you're needing a lawyer, a disability lawyer, especially if it's to do with disability, I highly recommend you do that. They do exist. We do exist. We matter. Okay, there's some of us out there that can have jobs. I wish that was me. Anyway, we had a meeting, wasn't to do with us, with the NDAS, but we were just part of being that this is a new place, doing the survey. So that was fantastic. The people that came out to have a look at the place, lovely people, great to talk to because I got to talk about my old welfare days. And that was really kind of cool because you know what? Isn't it nice that someone from higher up in the NJS actually treats you like a human being? And I'm going to talk a lot about that in this video because this video makes me very passionate. He's just gone under the fore blanket because he just wants to go to sleep. Weirdo. Anyway, we'll let him rest and I'll do it all. Then I'll have my shower. Then I gotta work out what I gotta wear. Does anyone else with autism just find that really hard? And then add in PDA, pervasive demand avoidance. I have had that my whole life, and it is a real thing, and it's a battle. And I've only got better as I've gotten older, but doing things that are a demand, my brain just naturally goes no. So it's very, very hard. But I think I've improved a lot as an adult. And I think like, because some of us autistics have to work more on our behaviour, that we actually learn to be better behaved people than anyone. That's why most autistics have manners, etiquette, and actually just know how to treat other human beings without harming them. If you agree, because I know you autistics, you all know it, put a blue love heart in the comments because I'm telling you it's true. Autistics just really know how to treat others, and yeah, we get put through a lot. So, today's topic, meltdowns and other people's reactions to meltdowns, like specifically judgmental people, meaning negative judgmental people. Now on these scales of you've got judgment on one side, you've got intuition on the other side, right? Some people are more intuitive, meaning they'll look at something and go, and they'll look at lots of things around it that really give it a good overall view, listen to their gut, whereas other people will just judge. It's very quick. There's no thinking involved. It's just judge. And it's harsh, right? And with meltdowns, whether they're a child, teenager, young adult, middle-aged adult, and even probably an elderly adult, maybe in a nursing home even, or just an adult, as in an elderly adult, just in general. So I want to talk about that because the reactions that autistics get to meltdowns, and all of us get them, but there is differences in everyone on how they get their meltdowns. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but that's not really relevant because that's, you guys already know that in this talk, in the way of if you're applying it to yourself, if you're learning it about others, if you're learning it about autism in general, you can apply it to whatever. But I want to explain it from an autistic perspective. I want to explain it from the psychology perspective, and I want to describe it because the community, meaning the social model of disability, is not even understanding it well enough. But I see people trying, but they're neurotypical. It's not going to work. So I'm going to talk about it. And I'm actually supporting someone with that. And the goal is to get others to understand what autism is and what all the little components that are involved in that. So for example, with meltdowns comes, we all have our list of, and when you're young, right, and if you've got a child, or if you know someone who's got a child, or you're just in this industry for like schooling and you're working with autistic children, write a list of that child or that person's triggers. Ask the person the triggers. Now with a child, you'll have to do that in a very social story way. And I would probably do that through a therapist, like a psychologist, clinical psychologist who knows autism. I would do that through a speech therapist. They can also do social stories. So there's plenty of ways of doing it with children. And of course with adults, well, it's just a conversation. You sit down, you work out, what are my triggers? You write that list and you go, well, these are all the things. And sometimes, just like everyone, and I want to make sure that people realize that things like these triggers don't mean that it is a mental disorder. Autism is, in my eyes, isn't even a disorder, but I do think it's a disability. But it is not a mental illness. And all of the top professionals that do autism say it all the time. It is not a mental illness. We are born like this, and that would be like blaming someone with cerebral palsy and saying, well, I want you to do this, and it's not in their capability. It's the same thing. It is disability, abuse, and then discrimination on top of that, but predominantly abuse. Because when you expect someone to do something that they can't do, for example, for child abuse, right? If a child is expected to do something developmentally that they cannot do, and you punish them for that, that's abuse. End of story. Every court would look at it that way. It is exactly how the child protection laws are made. Hence, adult protection laws of vulnerable adults. If you have an expectation of a vulnerable adult to not be like, get rid of your disability for a week because I need you to, they can't do that. That's not how it works. And it's abuse if you punish and penalize that person for not doing it. End of story. It is abuse. And in Australia, to treat someone with a disability in a discriminative way, in an abusive way, is a criminal offence. It is changed laws, legislation. We have rights, not just human rights. We also have these extra rights as a disabled person. And everyone's disability is different. So if I'm talking to you and you don't have autism but you have other disabilities, think of it as relating to you in other ways of your disability. If you need a wheelchair and someone takes it away because you're ambulatory and you can walk, which tons of wheelchair users can do, that is abuse. Okay, that's your aid. That is your necessary daily living thing that you need to function, right? Do they want you to function? Do they want you not to function? So if they take it away, it is abuse. So, and unfortunately, I'm going to say this. The stats for children who grow up disabled, I was born disabled, no one just really knew it. They kind of did, but closing your eyes to things and pretending it doesn't exist works well for some people. Seems to be really easy. But I was born with 22q11.2 deletion syndrome and traumatic birth, whole thing, premature, lots of problems. So basically developmental delays, was in special education, didn't speak to 11, 12, unless it was family members or just a few of my friends. I had limited speech, limited social skills, that's for sure. I struggled. I was bullied a lot. I suffered child abuse at home in different ways, particularly punished for my autism. If I had a meltdown, then violence was committed against me, and then of course vice versa, I would sometimes do it back because it's like, well, what's going on? I didn't know, and that was just my natural reaction. It is instinct. It's called self-defense. But basically, a lot of autistic children are traumatized and have CPTSD. I have CPTSD. I am doing so amazing with it though, compared to how I was younger. So if you're young, please be patient with yourself. Things get so much easier. I'm 50, gets easier. If you have the right people around you. Don't keep toxic people around you. I know someone I know thinks that, I obviously want to be backing my family, and I'm like, why would I do that? When the abuse was so horrific, guys. Like, my childhood was just awful. Just awful. Just to the point where I don't even have a lot of memory. I know I have a lot of stories to tell about my childhood, and they're all very vivid, but there's so much chunks of time I just don't remember because I was surviving. I was going through hell, and it was just trauma. And I think there's a video, but I think I've unlisted it for now. I shouldn't really, because it's actually my life story. But basically, I've had traumas, that basically I wasn't protected in many ways from so many things. So a lot of us come from trauma, sadly. And that's because we're autistic. So it's not just because, our parents are just parents that didn't really want us. There's a few of us like that because we're difficult. We're autistic, right? So it's like, this one's broken. I don't like this one. I like my other kids, but I don't like this one. It's broken. Just keeps doing stupid things. And then, of course, people can either make you supported and thrive, or they can beat the shit out of you and make you absolutely Like, fail. Design your life to fail. Simple as that. Okay. So naturally, some of us, not all of us. So if you're out there and you've had a great childhood with great support, I'm so glad. If you've got 22q or autism, I'm so glad, or any disability, because that's necessary, needed. But there is a lot of us that didn't. We're all like, oh, they've always just carried on. And then, you know, you go to your doctor. I remember going to my rheumatologist and him saying to me and looking me dead in the eye and saying it very firmly, you have got one of the most painful conditions. So my pain was validated, and I was like, oh, thank God. Because all my life it's never been validated. It's always been like, she just wants attention. She just wants attention. It's just like, fuck off. Just because I'm a female. A lot of females. We have a long way to go. Ladies, we have a long way to go. And we've got to keep pushing for it. Okay? This crap about women who, you know, are emotional. Oh, I don't want to deal with your emotions. All sucked in. That's life. If you don't deal with emotions very well, you've got problems. You need to see a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist. If you don't have feelings at all, you're a sociopath. So feelings are part of life. Sometimes they can be really heightened, like when autistics transition, when autistics are triggered, when autistics are sensory overloaded by whatever. Might be one thing, two things, three things, multiple things. So, you know, let's talk about the meltdowns. Right, so adult autistic meltdowns. So I've talked to you about childhood and how trauma can come from our meltdowns and our PDA. PDA is so misunderstood, so misunderstood. It really does look like defiance, and it really can be in a certain way, but it's not intentional. It is not like done to piss you all off, which all of our, you know, normally us kids that have that grow up, our parents think we were just nightmare children. No, there was actually strategies that could have been used, and I know that with myself having children. So there's always ways of positively parenting. There's no excuse for child abuse, basically, is all I'm going to say. No fucking excuse. And even if you're an adult child, abusing your child still is abuse, and it is still not acceptable. Boom. Just want to make that a big point. Not just for me. Making that a big point. That is a dead set fucking wrong, and it pisses me off every time. So, just know, I know that you see these YouTube channels that have these happy families with these autistics. It is not the common thing, sadly. Most of us get treated like trash. So I want to validate that. Absolutely want to validate that. Because when you grow up and have a meltdown, oh, it's not so cute anymore. I can't tolerate it anymore. Because when you've grown up, some of our families go, well, you're not cute anymore. You're not a kid anymore. I don't want to deal with you. And I've heard this story, not just this is how I feel my experience has been. I've heard so many autistics. So many autistics. Whether I've spoken to them online, whether I've seen them in person. I have spoken to people. This is a common thing. Parents that just don't get it. Family members that just don't get it. So, look up PDA, because I can do a separate video on that, but that is a misunderstood thing. Look at Tony Atwood's journal articles that he's put out there. He's got a good Facebook stuff on it. So do check him out. I just recommend him because I know that he's on the ball with it. He's looking at it with the right view. And I think that's really helpful because PDA we do need assistance with it. And I think that he's got the way. So look into that. But this is about meltdowns. And I just want to talk about meltdowns that are perceived as mental health breakdowns or mental health crises or mental health threats that things are going to go really bad. I want people to understand, and Tony Atwood says this all the time, and he gave this story that this lady wanted to, and she's walking around. She loved horses. So she's walking around looking for a piece of rope to, and her husband's like, what are you doing? Because obviously the husband's trying to help, some people actually do love us. Hence why the breeding keeps going on of autistics, okay? So all those families out there that hate your autistic child, well, there are always people that love them. I love a lot of people that are autistic, and I feel that there's people that love me, even though I'm autistic. And even though we come across as high functioning, when you're level 2, 3, and I know a lot of others the same, and we can come across very intelligent because we are, that mistakes us for being able to socially cope in a certain way that we can't, emotional regulation cope in a way that we can't. Mental age is not our chronological age. Like I said, I'm 50. That is not my actual mental age. It's 18 to 21. So I just want to point those things out. Think of those things as part of this. Autism is a disability. It is a spectrum. So basically, meltdowns can look like a mental health situation. But if you approach it like you would someone who's having like a mental health breakdown and they don't have autism, you can make it so worse. You can cause harm, making fun of the person, saying inappropriate things, telling them off. Don't do that. But anyway, the lady with the rope, what I was going to say was, she had OCD luckily, because she's like, I can't find clean rope. So by the time she couldn't find clean rope, by the time she kind of did, she was like, it's past. Like that. And she was fine. And then people look at that and go, oh, that's manipulation. No, it's not. It's autism. We can't emotionally regulate. We can improve on it, but we'll always have problems. We have alexithymia. We have so many issues, interoception, so many issues. Then the meltdown, it is a neurological misfire that is not in our control. Not just for children. Adults as well. It's not a tantrum. It is not a tantrum. And anyone that's got children that have tantrums, stop calling them meltdowns unless they're autistic, and it is a meltdown because an autistic child can have both. They're going to have normal tantrums because they're a child. They're also going to have meltdowns. Please stop using the word meltdown. Meltdown is actually a medical thing that is a neurological misfire of an autistic's brain, or I don't know, maybe ADHD is if you don't have autism. I can't quote on that because I have both. I don't know, but I know that autism is a neurological misfire. We're not in control. By the time it starts, you can do prevention stuff, in the leading up to phase, like don't abuse the person. Sorry, just being sarcastic there. Not doing a good job at it, but trying. But basically, it is a misfire that once it starts, our bodies actually physically heat up, right? So meltdown is kind of a good word because you're melting when you're sweating, right? When you're sweating, you're melting. So if the person is in huge distress, in a meltdown, it's like you've got to use things like, I'm right here, I'm going to stay with you, you're safe, I'm not judging you, I'm just going to be with you until this passes. And if you want me to not talk, then I won't. And you sit at a distance unless they say otherwise, and you keep asking if you want to do something. You ask and you speak quiet and gently and with respect to the person, Because in that moment, the biggest thing that's making them worse, if you don't treat them right, is they are already feeling humiliation, embarrassment, because they know they're not in control. And they know until it passes, there's nothing they can do about not being in control. And if you're a woman, and sorry about you men too, because I'm not diminishing that men get the same thing, same judgments, the same harsh treatments, same bad reactions. I'm not saying that. But women get presumed as, oh gosh, what a mental head case. No, it's autism. And just because someone's got intelligence, which a lot of, I don't know if you've seen the latest stuff on non-verbals even. They've had non-verbals that they've been able to get like some devices where they can talk. And do you know what? They are highly intelligent. A lot of us autistics, because of our special interests in those areas, we're highly intelligent. We are just like, we should be working in those industries. But the problem is, all the other stuff, basic social skills, we can't remember them. We can't like make them happen. A lot of the time, like there's so many things we can't do. We can get overwhelmed with the simplest task. We can have a meltdown over the simplest thing. If we've been under stress, and it's not really over the simplest one thing. It's a bit like the straw that breaks the camel's back, like anyone. But the difference is, for us, it's a meltdown. For us, it causes a neurological, it's a bit like a seizure if it's caused by stress. My seizures can be caused by dehydration, lack of sleep, stress, lack of food regularly throughout the day, overheated, all those types of things, right? Sudden changes of temperature. There's, if I get like fevers, if I've got flu or anything that's an infection, there's so many triggers, and same with meltdowns. And I'm not going to go through all the triggers because there's so many, and everyone's will be so personalized probably, but there'll be some similarities between all of us. But that person, and get everyone away that's staring, that's probably judging, that's not autism friendly, autism aware. Give them their dignity, privacy, and make sure they're safe. But you do that without, I know that some people with autistics, and even like, I apologise to any of you that suffer a mental illness in this Australian society, because it's disgusting how they treat you. And also, if you have a mental health crisis at any point, I'm so sorry for how people treat you in Australia. It's disgusting. But with autism meltdowns, if a person is harming themselves, don't say to them, which is some people's strategies, which is fucking disgusting. Oh, go do it. Go do it. You're a sicko if you say that to someone. I don't care why they're in distress, let alone an autistic meltdown where they're not in neurological control. Do you know what neurological is? The fucking brain. They can't control the brain at that moment. And yes, they can be a totally different person after, once things have passed. It doesn't mean it's a bit like a seizure and I lose control of my body. I'm not in control. And just because I get control again doesn't mean that seizure wasn't real. Does that make sense? Doesn't mean I wasn't like able to take control of the seizure and go, nope, not going to have the seizure. It's inconvenient right now. Trust me, there's so many times where I'm like, it is inconvenient right now because I was planning on doing this. So don't do that. Same with if someone's having a mental health crisis, which many autistics have mental health problems, particularly when they are young, 20s, 30s, happens a lot. And it's mainly, like I always say, it's the social model of disability. It's because the stupid medical model treats people with disability like crap and makes people disabled by not making the world accessible for us, for all different kinds of blind, autistics, people in wheelchairs, all sorts of things. You don't make it for us. In fact, you'd be shocked in 2024 with some of our disabilities how stupid some things are, how inaccessible some places are. Totally. You can't go to them anymore. Fact. Okay? And that is 2024 right now. People with disability do not have inclusion. We are disabled by our society. We are normal within our homes where we make it able to do daily living and stuff. So, and the people around us. The people around us that make it smoother because they know how to speak to us with autism. Like, say if, I don't know, my ADHD, if I'm interrupting and I get a reminder in a respectful way that, oh, I'm over talking. Not a problem. I don't have an issue with that. Same with my autism. If I have a meltdown and I'm respected through it, massively assists me. So, I'm just saying, if someone's in a meltdown, please just speak calmly, show respect. I mean, you should do this anyway if you don't know the situation and you think it might be a mental health crisis. Same thing should happen. You don't make fun of them. You don't say to them, oh yeah, just go do it. And then you don't just leave the person alone. Supervise the person. Even if they're an autistic that like doesn't want you around, make sure someone, if it can't be you or if it is you, stay away then. Stay like face away from them. You know, normally they will self-regulate. They need to do that alone. You doing it for them will just, like you going up to them and hugging them and all these, don't. Okay, you will probably get a punch or a push or a kick. Don't hug them. Don't hug them. It is just the absolute, this is the biggest no-no, guys. Don't go close. Stay at least 3 meters away. Unless they want otherwise, and you ask. All the time you ask. And if you're working with the person, ask their triggers. Ask what they want you to do in their meltdown. Then they can explain to you. When they're not in a meltdown, of course, you do that bit later. But if you're experiencing one and you don't know the person, you just go through those calm de-escalation steps. It's simple. Show love and respect. Okay? You don't have to know them to show love. Okay? They're a human being. Okay? They're in distress. Autistic meltdowns are, just to wrap up, very traumatizing for us. The guilt also, because we say and do things we don't mean, is horrific. It causes us to go into depression sometimes if it's been a bad one. Especially if others, I know in my past, others have said things that are very hurtful, which is discrimination and against my disability. And that makes it worse. But please know out there, if you've had meltdowns, depression happens after, I get it. Guilt happens after. We feel like a horrible person. I know that not just my experience, but other people's experience have been, you know, I feel like an evil person. I used to feel the same. You're not. You're not. You are autistic. You've had meltdowns, or you know, some of us have more than others. It depends on your life situation. It's always caused by stress. Overload stress, as in, it doesn't always happen just by stress. I'm saying, like, I should clarify, autism stress, like things that an autistic finds hard. So whatever those things are, put in situations you can't manage, sensory overloaded in some way with one thing or multiple things. So please just do self-care, because the guilt, the depression, the embarrassment, the shame, and I'm really sorry that others make you feel that way, and I hope people around you can turn that around if you talk to them, or if they get educated on autism and meltdowns. They can start to understand, to undo that for you, so you don't have to feel like that, because you're not evil, you're not bad. It is an autistic meltdown. And just because you're not a child doesn't mean that you don't grow out of autism. I'm sorry. You still have the issues of autism. So I'll finish it there, but I just want to really validate you. Please be kind to yourself. Please understand that these meltdowns are a big deal. And a lot of us have got PTSD, I should say CPTSD. I mean, I've got it for other reasons too, because like I just wasn't protected from horrific things as a child that a child doesn't need to see and experience. And it was a shit show, my childhood, but it made me a stronger person. It's made me a person that's able to look at others and say, I get you, and I see others in pain and I just get them. So it's given me that. It's given me strength. But basically, meltdowns are nothing to be ashamed of. They are part of autism. And if you're autistic, they're going to be part of your life. So management is the best way. And, you know, don't be around toxic people that are going to use it against you. It's not okay. It is discrimination. And it is bullying. So take care of yourselves. And I hope that's helped. And feel free to comment below on anything. Feel free to ask for more about meltdowns, or about some kind of tangent I might have gone on this video, like PDA, pervasive demand avoidance, because a lot of us have it. You might not realize you have it, or you might sort of not want to know that you have it because you've heard really bad things about it. It's not what some say about it. There are some horrific journal articles of bullshit about it out there, but the latest stuff is really good, and there's some really good therapists for it who do get it in the right light and have the right like tools to give you to cope with it. Anyway, I hope it helps someone, and I hope that it helped people who work with us out there as well. So take care for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.